Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, I'm Mauladiana Qibtiya from class G of Legal English. Now I will discuss reviewing fixed-term employment contract. Actually, what is a fixed-term employment contract? A fixed-term employment contract is an employment agreement that is made for a certain period of time, usually with predetermined duration from the beginning of the contract. The first part in this contract will discuss the detail of the parties involved in this contract, such as the date of making the contract, the name and address of the employer, namely Knight Frank LLP, and the name and address of the employee, namely Carola Alessandra. Well, after discussing identity details, we will next discuss the detail of the agreement of this contract. First, there are employee duties. In this section, discuss the general obligation and responsibilities of the employees in the fixed-term employment contract. In this contract, it is explained that employees must act in accordance with the agreement, demonstrate their best skill they have, comply with applicable regulation as well as comply with applicable laws. Next is responsibilities. This section explains the duties or obligation that must be carried out by a person in certain role or position. In this case, as a financial analyst. In this clause, it further explains the duties and roles of the position given by the employer. The duties of the financial analyst such as collect and analyze financial data, perform scenario analysis for business strategies, prepare financial report, presentation, and dashboard, analyze budget discrepancies and recommended action, and so forth. Furthermore, in this contract, it is also explained that the employee is expected to work full-time. Next, employee benefit, which are compensation and additional facilities offered by the employer to employees in addition to the basic salary or wages. The facilities obtained in the contract are in the form of health insurance, life insurance policies, paid time off, company car, and computer. Next is fixed term. In this clause, it is contained that employees will be employed according to the agreed period, which is 1 year starting from 22nd January 2024. Then, it was explained that between the employee and the employer can be terminate the agreement before the end of the period by giving at least 30 days notice. And the consequence obtained in the form of employees will not given severance pay. Next is pay or salary. In this contract, employees are given a pay of $60,000 per year and distributed monthly. In addition to pay, employees also get a commission of 7% of the revenue generated and a bonus of 10% of the annual salary. Next is out-of-pocket expenses, which are personal expenses incurred by a person for official purposes that will be replaced or reimbursed by the company. In this contract, the expenses to be reimbursed are travel, food, and lodging. Next, confidentiality are something that must be kept confidential and not disseminated by the employee. In the contract, it is explained that the employee must maintain the confidentiality of all information related to business plans, invention, design, product, services, processes, trade secret, copyright, trademark, customer information, customer list, prices, analytical data, costs, affair, and other information that is considered to belong to the company. If the employee violates this, the employer is entitled to compensation. Next is role. In this contract, it is explained that employees are not entitled to enter into agreements with third parties, such as customer, client, affiliates, or vendors. Next is appearance or presence. In the contract, it is explained that if the employee doesn't enter for 25 days in a consecutive, then the employer has the right to terminate the agreement and the employee will not receive severance pay. Next, notice or written information submitted. In the contract, it is explained that written information will be sent through certified mail or postal service, which will be sent to the office address for the employer and the mail address for the employee. Next is compliance, or the action of the person to comply with the applicable rules. This clause explains that employees must comply with applicable rules and regulations, including laws. If the employee violates the regulation, the employer reserves the right to terminate this agreement without severance pay. Next is return of property, which is the return of property owned by the company after the termination of employment. In this clause, the property that must be returned is such as equipment, electronic, record, accesses, data, vehicle, report, models, or any property that is requested by the employer. Next is the amendment or increase the content of the employment contract. In this clause, it is explained that this agreement can be amended with the consent of both parties. Next is severability. If one or more of the provisions in the contract are found to be invalid by the court, then the other provisions remain to valid and binding, so that other provisions must still be implemented. Next is the entire agreement, which is that the contract document is the result of an agreement between the parties involved and supersedes all previous agreement, negotiation, and communication. This clause makes it clear that only the content of this written contract are binding on the parties, and the last, the signature of the employer and the employees as a form of the legal binding agreement in this employment contract. So that's the content of the fixed-term employment contract between Knight Frank LLP and Carola Alessandra. Hopefully this contract can provide you insight. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.